When preparing for your All-State audition, make sure that you are practicing your scales every day, or at least some of your scales every day. And you want to make sure that you are focusing on the scales that you cannot play. So if you have a problem with D flat or G flat, start your practice session with those. Your focus is the best at the beginning of a practice session, and so it's important to prioritize those scales, and rather than playing them last in the order and having already kind of checked out a little bit by the time you get there, make it a bigger priority and start with those. Since GMEA has removed the memorization requirement for scales, if you feel more comfortable using your scale chart and having that on the stand, go ahead and do that. Take whatever advantages you can to keep yourself confident and comfortable. With the Etudes, record yourself early in the process, even when it's slow, even when it's below tempo, just so you can hear what you're actually doing and then compare it to what you want to do. We want to avoid practicing mistakes at a very basic level. So you want to get away from that as soon as you can. With the concert band Lyrical Etude, the marked tempo here is pretty quick. I think it's fine to take it a little slower, and I would definitely think about this in eighth notes, not in dotted quarters. So thinking about the eighth note getting the beat. I would practice this to start without the 30-second notes, because I think that those can be kind of, terrifying, and they're really fast, and we don't want to practice and create anxiety from the very beginning, because that can create a lot of tension. So if you're able to play the rest of the etude a little faster, that's great. And then you can work on the sections with the 30-second notes separately. What I suggest with the 30-second notes, absolutely make sure that you are flicking to get up to the A, flicking to get up to the B if you need to, flicking to get up to the C. But I would work backwards with these and focus on just the last 30-second note getting to the quarter note that follows it. So if we look in the first bar, just practicing, and then in bar 3, and in bar 5, and do that a bunch of times so it feels comfortable and you're getting good air support, you're not grabbing with your embouchure, but you're singing through the interval. When we are frantic and hurrying, that creates a lot of tension, and tension can be the enemy when we play bassoon. So starting with using the last 30-second note, then add the one in front of that. And do that a whole bunch of times. Then add the one before that. And work on this with the metronome slowly so that you feel very comfortable with it. Then you can do all 4, then you can start to add notes before, you can start to add notes after, but be creative with how you incorporate those and do it from a place where you feel confident pretty early. The other thing I will say about this etude is in bar 11, you have to subdivide a lot and make sure not to rush the 16th notes. I think there's something mentally that we get into with, we see 16th notes on the page and think that they're really fast, and we've already played the 30-second notes earlier, so it's an easy trap to fall into with this, of playing the 16th notes like they are 30-second notes. So I think you can just, make sure that you're thinking of them more as eighth notes and try to chill a little bit with it. With the technical etude, this is a little bit tempting to go faster than what is marked with this. It has allegretto, so it's a little allegro, tempo di minuetto, which is the tempo of a minuet, which is a dance, and then they give you an eighth note equals 108. But below the first bar, they have the Italian term risoluto, which means resolute. And when you look up resolute, we get a definition that is purposeful, steadfast, unwavering, determined, firm. So I think Weisenborn is giving us information here about how this should be a little bit more held back and not pushing forwards. So even though you might want to go faster with this, I think it's really important to control yourself with that. Another pitfall with this can be in with our G sharps. So in bar 20 and then again in bar 22, when we have articulations on G sharp. G sharp can be a bit of a persnickety note on the bassoon because the amount of first finger half hole that we open has to be very specific. Oftentimes it's a little more closed than G, but we want to think about having a very open voicing within our mouth so that the tongue position in the mouth is very low and we're thinking O. So if that note cracks, it is usually because either the half hole is too big, or we are too tight with the embouchure, or the half hole is too small. So I think it's important to experiment with that a little bit and figure out where exactly that feels comfortable for you so that you avoid, cracking that G sharp. In this, there are also a lot of instances where we have 2 eighth notes in a bar, so in bar 4, bar 8, bar 20, that are at the ends of phrases. I would play the first eighth note slightly louder than the second because it is the end of the phrase and we want to show the downbeat and keep the meter first and foremost within this. Anything that's in 3, we want to make sure we really, really emphasize 1, and so showing 1 as being the most important thing and not the low note as being the most important thing. So I think that's a little tricky in a couple of these where the second note is the low note. But work slowly, record, play for friends and family frequently, practice performing, and best wishes and good luck in the audition.